My prayer for this year, the rest of this year, is that I hope that the United States, Israel, and the Palestinian people are delivered from the evil, wicked government. The government, not the people, the government and representative that represent each nation. The Israeli, Bibi, Netanyahu, Trump and them, Biden and them, the Palestinians, the Hamas, they're all in cahoots to keep shit going, this war going, and billions of dollars in fluctuation. And us, the average citizen, the 9-to-5 workers that are out just doing their job, hoping to afford a house, pay off some debt, go on 2 vacations a year, we are paying the goddamn price.
Since Hamas terrorists brutally murdered more than 1,200 innocent Israelis, it was October 7th. With 48 still being held hostage right now, President Trump warns time is running out to get a deal done. Now Fox is exclusively learning about Hamas's direct appeal in a letter to the president. They want President Trump to step in. What is that deal? Fox News chief foreign correspondent Trey Yingst has details. He joins us live for an update from Israel. Trey, what could you tell us?
Yeah, hey, Brian, good morning. Fox News has learned from a senior Trump administration official and a second source directly involved in the negotiations that Hamas has drafted a personal letter to President Trump asking him to guarantee a 60-day pause in the fighting in exchange for immediately releasing half of the hostages being held inside Gaza. We understand this letter is currently with the Qataris and is expected to be delivered to the president this week. Remember, there are still 48 hostages being held by the terror group inside the Gaza Strip. It's estimated around 20 are believed to be alive. And the negotiations were moving forward. But earlier this month, the Israelis launched airstrikes against Hamas inside the Qatari capital of Doha. They have been stalled ever since. But officials hope this letter will help to jumpstart the conversations and ultimately get President Trump directly involved to try and reach an agreement to get the hostages home and end this war.
It's interesting.
Brian, so how many hostages said they had? 20 may be alive. So they could release 10, maybe 15 hostages. That would be great. And they're probably appealing to his nature, like to want that win. So they say, hey, Trump, you can send a plane. We'll put these hostages on the plane. You can take them back home and say, yeah, job well done. We're getting this done. Trump might say yes. And if they get a yes directly from President Trump and Netanyahu go out here and do something, that would be like, hopefully it'll be the final straw that broke the fucking camel back, because there's a lot of straws on that camel.
Do you think on some level Hamas, who follows media closely, has noticed the relationship the hostages and their families have with the American president? Is that part of the strategy here?
Absolutely. Look, Hamas and everyone in the Middle East understands that President Trump is a deal maker. He wants to see an agreement that would ultimately end this conflict, bring the hostages home, alleviate the suffering for Palestinian civilians, and stabilize the Middle East. And President Trump has been very clear since the October 7th massacre that we saw here on the ground in Israel that he wants peace in the Middle East. We saw the Abraham Accords, and ultimately the hope here in the region is that if a ceasefire is reached inside Gaza, you not only bring the hostages home, alleviate the sufferings for civilians, but enter into a new chapter where more deals can be made to have some level of stability across the region.
And Qatar put a lot of money. That Canelo Crawford fight, it was a lot of people from Qatar. And they put a lot of money, a lot of oil into America's ecosystem, whatever you want to call it. If they say, yo, President Trump, like, we your ally too, like, let us get this one. Like, Israel just bombed a place in our main capital, not a little small outskirt somewhere that's like technically right over the border. They bombed Qatar's, their busiest place, their capital, their downtown, whatever you want to call it, where people go. And then it's reports that Israel didn't even kill the person that they were after. They killed an innocent Qatari soldier or something like that. So if they say, yo, Trump, let us get this one. We're going to give you the hostages and you're going to let us get a ceasefire. Come on. Prove that you got a little reign, a little leash on Israel. I don't know how Trump could say no. If they say we'll release half the hostages, no problem. Like first day, if you guarantee a 60-day, not wait to the end of the 60 days. Everybody want all the hostages home. But if they say that, how can Trump, deal or no deal, how could Trump say no to that? Like, bring the hostages home, and how?
How significant is it that they feel as though they're better off dealing with President Trump than Netanyahu?
It's significant. And look, the president has been able to bring a lot of wars to a close around the world. He's been able to de-escalate a lot of tension in the region. There are conversations taking place with Syrian leadership right now to reach some sort of normalization agreement with Israel. But his Middle East team, specifically Steve Witkoff and Adam Bowler, have been leading the charge here to try to get some sort of agreement together. The war in the Middle East, specifically inside the Gaza Strip, has been going on for more than 700 days. The president has met directly with the families of these hostages that are being held by the terrorist organization inside Gaza, some of them in the tunnels beneath Gaza. He's also talked about the need to bring people together and bring people to the table. And so it's a challenging path forward here, understanding the regional tension following these Israeli strikes against the Qatari capital, targeting Hamas there. But also, there are questions about how this war will come to a close. Israeli forces right now are battling Hamas on the ground inside Gaza, focusing on the largest city in the Gaza Strip. But they're also looking at the possibility of expanding operations. And we've seen the demonstrations here in Israel, thousands of people in the streets of Tel Aviv and Jerusalem demanding a deal. And you see the signs that they are holding. They are pleading with President Trump to use his negotiating power to reach an agreement.
Last question.
And you got to realize that these are some people on the Israeli side are Zionists. Like, they believe it is biblical. It is their God-given right to have their state expand and grow. So if you think like, oh, Hamas don't want to come to an agreement, they don't want to negotiate, cool. Maybe they're getting a lot of money and a lot of funding from somewhere to keep it going. But on the other side, they don't want to stop it either. Because if they stop it and there's a two-state solution, then what happens to their dream? Their Zionist dreams. Like, they'll never get another chance. It'll be another 100 years before they get a chance to start another war again. Like, the world won't put up with this stopping and them doing it right after. So then what happens? Like, they're just like, oh, okay, I wanted to expand Israel, but I guess we'll do it in 100 years. No, they want to see it come to fruition. Like, I just think, like, this is smart on Hamas to let some of the hostages go, to say, look, they don't want to do nothing. They don't want to give us no leeway. To bring home 10, 15 people, if there's 20 left, to bring home 10, 15 or more, that's a win on President Trump. He get to go, yeah, we're bringing them home. I released 15 hostages to their families. And, like, he get to clap and, like, But Netanyahu, most likely, if we know him, he's going to do something. And that might be what they need. That might be what Israel need to get the whole world against them.
Question real quick on leverage. President knows all about leverage. Is it because they're closing in on Gaza City that the Hamas is doing this Hail Mary? I know they wouldn't use that term. Or do they feel fortified by countries like France saying, I recognize the existence of a Palestinian state? Who's got leverage?
Look, the Israelis have some level of leverage. They have ground forces deep inside Gaza, and they
he's talking about Palestine.
Have a number of tank units with air support. They are striking the Gaza Strip so heavily every day that sometimes you can hear it in cities like Tel Aviv, nearly 40 miles to the north of the Gaza Strip. But when we look at the situation on the ground, we also have to look at the negotiating table. And that's where President Trump has leverage. He's made comments in recent days saying he does not want to see Hamas in control of Gaza, and he wants to see the hostages released.
Exclusively, just to recap, a letter directly to Trump in the hands of Qatar that should be at the 1600 Pennsylvania Avenue, or where the president's going to be on Tuesday in New York. Trey, thanks so much.
So what do y'all think? I think this is a strategic. First of all, I think both sides are terrorists. Netanyahu's government and Hamas are in cahoots. Don't forget that. Netanyahu funded Hamas and allows money to be given to them to keep the people of Gaza, the Palestinians, under control. And now he's like, I don't want this war to end. And I believe he's paying some of the Hamas leaders to keep this war going. Otherwise, they'd be like, yo, we want to protect our people, right? If Hamas was really for the Palestinian people, they would have been stopped this and say, yo, it's going on. You bombing us. Over 20,000 kids at this point. Somewhere between 60,000 and 100,000 people have died, depending on, that's the minimum, 60,000. Depending on which news source or reports you watch. At minimum, 60,000 people have died. Mostly kids and women under the age of 18. The high end, 100,000 people have died. In our faces with bombs, just poof, poof. And they're trying to tell us, oh, Hamas used women and children as shields. How could you use men and women as shields, or kids and women as shields from a missile? Yeah, both are going to go. But that's how evil they want us to believe, because then we're like, go get them. But they using kids, and they cutting the head off babies and all this, blah, blah. None of that happened. But of course, we'd be like, oh, they probably need to go. Even the devout Christian would be like, okay, I understand why I don't want it. I wish it didn't, but I see why they got to go that evil. If they're using their own women and children. And then Israel justifies that by saying, oh, if they're using the women and children as hostages, so we're going to just kill everybody. So the Israeli government aren't for the women and children, and Hamas is for, so the women and children are out there just suffering, running around, getting bombed, while Hamas leadership is in other countries. Or they're in the tunnels, but the women and children are on the surface. That don't make any sense. Like, I voted for Trump because Biden and them wasn't stopping it. And Kamala kept giving answers like she was going to continue this war. And then Trump, I'm like, oh, Trump don't like Netanyahu anyway from before he was president. They ain't really have a good relationship, so he ain't going to give him what he want. He's saying he's going to stop all the wars, and then boom, here we go. I keep forgetting that both sides are the same. They kids go to the same schools. They go to lunch together and then pretend to argue in front of us. They literally take the opposite side. If one side like blue, the other side like red. Even their colors is opposite. They can't be like, oh, let's just agree on purple. Let's put the colors together and come up with some type of middle ground. No, blue, red, blue. They're evil. They're evil. We're good. It's the Jedis. That's the Sith. That's a childish fucking thing. We're good. That's when you hear them talk. This is a fight between good and evil. So I guess everybody on the right evil? Or everybody on the left evil? No, it's the leadership. They're pretending and having us argue and pretending that they're friends. Neither side is listening. On the right, you got them telling Trump, we don't want this. Stop the wars. On the left, they telling them, listen, we don't want trans and women sports and just like they could do what they want and live their life, but we just don't want them in sports. But they could be free to be themselves. And let's stop this war. Both sides are screaming, hey, let's stop giving money and billions of dollars to these different countries and then pretending like we ain't got no money to fix the road or for kids to eat or anything. The poor black people, the rednecks, they're all saying, hey, help us. We can't afford homes. Bread and eggs is going up. But you're giving billions of dollars in missiles and to fight war and kill people. Who listening? What side is listening? And I listen to these podcasts like even PBD. Like you listen to like Adam and like and Vinny and they talking, they're like, oh, this is a Christian nation and blah, blah, blah. And they're evil. We need to stop them. And the left. The left? You telling me everybody on the left is evil? There's no God-fearing people on the left? Like all the people that's going to work, the blue-collar people on the left, that's just living their life, working a 9 to 5, you telling me none of them is good? The people on the right, you telling me they all racists and rednecks and KKK members and none of them are good? What are we talking about? It is the politicians. When you talk about the left, you say the leadership on the left is not listening to the people. They're evil. The leadership on the right, the representatives in Congress are not listening to the everyday people like they should. They're not representing their interests. They're evil. Any politician on the left or the right that is not representing their masses, the opinion of their people are evil. Let's say that. But to call the people, the common man, your fellow American, to call them evil because they represent another side? Are you killing me? You ain't never played high school sports. You ain't never play nothing. You ain't go to college in a fraternity or nothing. You ain't joined the military. You interact with these people every day at the store, going into McDonald's, Walmart. You don't know if they're on the left or right. You just say, oh, that's a good person. Thank you for helping me. You don't say, hey, you're a Democrat? Are you a Republican? Oh, okay. I'm just making sure you're not evil. This is stupid. Somehow when these politicians come out and say something, then that people are evil. But when you go in every day, you call the cops. You don't say, hey, wait, you're a Democrat or a Republican? When you call in the ambulance and they helping you, or you go to a doctor appointment, or you at a baseball game, y'all take me out to the ball game, and you sit there with the crowd. You telling me those people are evil? That's what we're reduced to? You're evil because what side you pick? Most people are something or left or the right because they were born that way and their parents are that, so they just, oh, you know what, I'm a Republican. I don't know. My mom and dad been a Republican. Oh, okay. I'm a Democrat. My mom and dad was born a Democrat. Just like they do religion. Hey, I'm a Baptist. My mom and dad are Baptist, so I guess I am. I got baptized when I was a little kid before I even knew what I was doing. They're evil? You think all the people that go to your church is a Republican or Democrat? Are they evil people? It was a time when you didn't even discuss religion and politics at work because it didn't fucking matter. It ain't like they was going to do something for you anyway. The people, the politicians are not listening. This is why we need term limits, because they sit there for 20 years in office and they making deals and back doors. But if they were on there for, let's say did 2 terms of 2 years or 4 years, like the president does, and then they had to get out, they would be more cautious with the deals they make, because then it would have repercussions for them and their family too. They'd be like, I just made this deal with this foreign nation, but you know what? Maybe I shouldn't, because I only got 1 more term and I don't know if the other guy going to do good. I know I've been getting this money, but maybe we should not do this, because then my sons and daughters and grandkids got to live in here too. And my son may not get the job because, you know, they literally passing this shit down like it's a family business. This should not be the same politicians. Biden was in here before I was born. He was in the politics all the way up to now. And he just got out. Are you kidding me? That's why people voted for Trump. Be like, oh, he wasn't a career politician. Maybe he'll do something different. I don't know if they blackmailing him or what, but this shit gotta stop. Like, let me know what y'all think, but it gotta stop. Like this, they're playing games with us. And we're falling into it. That's because the average person, the 9-to-5 worker, I keep saying, just looking at news clips. You're either looking at Fox News clips or CNN news clips. You're like, oh yeah, 10-second clip. Oh, he's wrong. Oh, he is evil. Both sides are saying, listen to both sides. They're both calling each other evil, and they're the good guys. Come on. Let's call a spade always. Let me know what y'all think. Hopefully this President Trump stopped this madness. Ukraine, Russia, and Israel, Gaza. Come on. 1,200 people died on one side. Over 60,000 people died on the other side. Morally, this is if you call yourself a Christian or any kind of God-fearing, no way you could do this. If you sit there like Charlie Kirk was probably doing when he's sitting there, I seen him debate and he said 45 million babies die a year from abortion, and he was serious. He's like, this is despicable. If 45 million babies dying before they were born, then how could you justify 20,000 kids dying that are alive, well, already here on earth, walking, breathing, learning, talking? They're starving there. How could you justify that? How could you be pro-life and let 20,000 kids be bombed because 1,200 people died? It's sad, but how? Let me know what y'all think. Like, share, subscribe, everything.